Property prices in 2025, what's going to happen to them? Let us know in the comments. It's everyone's favorite prediction this time of the year to work out who's going to make what on paper without having to do any work for it and not have to pay any tax on it. Seems to be why a lot of people do look at property prices increasing. Also, so they can feel good about the investment that they have. I get it, no shade in that, it is what it is. But I thought what we might want to do is go and have a look at some of the bank's predictions. So what I did is I gathered them all for you so that you don't have to. So ASB tipped a 7% increase in property prices. BNZ a 7% increase. Kiwibank between 5 to 7% increase in house prices. ANZ said cool growth. I don't know what that means, but no figure on that. Westpac were tipping about 8%, and the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's expectations were 5.5%. Now that's pretty bloody exciting, right? It's pretty exciting growth in an asset that's doing nothing but is drifting up in value. The only issue with this though is that these predictions were for 2024. Oh, yeah, this data and all of these are actually from an article penned in late 2023. Now we find ourselves in late 2024 and everybody is doing the same thing. What's property going to go up in 2024? No, 25. I don't know. They clearly didn't know, because looking at 2024, the market was still crashing. Or do not use that word in New Zealand, property and crash. They do not go together in the same sentence. But yes, the property market is in a sustained crash, but it looks like it's bottoming out and maybe it'll continue to increase and people will get excited. But I'm seeing people talk about 7, 8, 9, 10% increases in property in 2025. I even saw one of these predictions from one of these banks said 7% in 2024 and 16% in 2025. I think it's just kind of moved sideways for 2024. I don't know the exact figure on what it's increased or where it's going to land, and the whole year hasn't actually finished yet. But what I do want to give you a word of warning is with property price predictions and any prediction is, why is the person using this? You know, you're going to watch this because of clickbait or genuine interest because you own property or you want to buy property. So you're going to want to know what I've got to say based on your situation. Now, think about the people doing the predictions, whether it's mortgage advisors, real estate agents, the banks, Barry Big Bollocks at the bloody Christmas barbecue telling you how much property is going to increase. Find out what their incentive for property to increase could be. And maybe they don't have any, and that's just some statistical data that they've done and they want to let you know what they think it's going to increase. But A, accept that they could be wrong. And B, why blindly listen to all these people and then make your decisions off of these people? Be a little bit more considerate and thoughtful when thinking about these predictions. Now, something else I want you to think about is that in New Zealand, it's very normal for us to ask banks and mortgage advisors and real estate agents and financial type people to come out and be like, yep, property's going to go up by X, Y, Z, and it's never been a better time to buy. Imagine if people did that about Bitcoin, the NZX, or a specific stock. They will get in the shit. Why can they do it for property? Don't know. Property seems to be a little bit protected. It's normalized and it's okay to do that. If I went out there and was telling everyone, get into Bitcoin right now, this has to be the bottom. It's going to go up by 32% next year. You've got to get in right now. Do not miss out. There's never been a better time to buy. Chances are someone's going to get a little bit upset about that and I might have someone to answer to. So a lot of people won't do that. You don't see a news or media story lead with the RBNZ expect the NZX50 to increase by 10% in 2025. Wonder where those articles are. I wonder why not. You have to think about this. So our economy and our nation is obsessed in some ways with property. So what's going to drive people to converse about this? What's going to drive eyeballs? What's going to drive attention? And what does all of that drive? Revenue. So why do all of the banks always have a prediction about what property is, but not really the NZX, not specific stocks? Why aren't they saying, hey, here's what we predict our fucking stock to be? worth at the end of the year? We expect Westpac shares to be worth X at the start and XYZ at the end. Where are those predictions? Why isn't that the lead story? You know, it's bizarre. But revenue and advertising is what I think a lot of it comes back to, because you've got 2/3 of people who have exposure to property in this country, and then 1/3 of people who are renting and then hoping to buy, maybe, right? So those third are hoping that things aren't going to get too out of control. And then the 2/3 who do have property, they want to know that they're going to get wealthier on paper, and they can feel like they've made the right decision buying property, and then they can validate their decision making. Now, of course, then off to the side of that too, you have genuine reasoning for people wanting house prices to increase in terms of, okay, if there's more equity, then I can access more money. They might get cheaper borrowing for their business, for instance, or they might want to look at property investing or whatnot. So they really do need property prices to increase in order for them to action parts of their investment plan or their strategy, or being able to borrow against it with enough equity so they can do other things. But even like, buy the jet ski, the boat, the holiday, and draw down on the equity in the property like as if it is a credit card. Anyway, I don't really know what's going to happen to property prices in 2025. I don't really know what's going to happen to Bitcoin. I don't really know what's going to happen in the stock market. I don't know what's going to happen out there. The world is a crazy place right now, and it always is, and there's always a black swan just around the corner as well that none of us can predict. But I do sort of have a feeling that the economy's not exactly like flying out there. And if more of you, I'm sorry, but more of you and more Kiwi people are going to lose their job, then I can't see those people rushing to buy properties. Yep, interest rates are coming down and we think that's going to just solve everything. But if the government is still tightening the belt and they're letting people out of roles and they're squeezing up the economy, and everyone's crying, well, a lot of people are crying about what the current government are doing and saying this is not the way forward and whatnot, then I can't really see where all this magic's going to be happening in the economy to give all of this confidence that people are going to rush into driving up house prices by increasing the demand for them and therefore the price that they are willing to pay. Now, I get to see inside a lot of businesses into their financials, and guess what? Like, a lot of them aren't too clued up on their numbers, and they can learn that stuff, and it's great that they do that, but a lot of businesses don't really know how they are performing. But when they really are forced to focus on that, then they think, well, maybe I need to let someone go. Now, at the moment, we've got record liquidations too, where the IRD are putting businesses into liquidation saying, we want you to stop trading effectively, and there's going to be more of those in 2025 as more of those business owners go, something's broken here, something's not working, we're struggling. And there's always a cash crunch in the January period of business because there's GST to pay, provisional tax to pay, PAYE, revenues decrease, people still want to be paid 100% of their wages, insurances are still 100%, rent's still 100%, but revenue drops, and so things get really tight. So I do think we'll see a wave of people struggling business-wise in the early new year. And will they be able to get access to finance? I don't know. Now, however, I guess to think about this from a different angle again, because I like to think things from different angles. I've got no vested interest in what happens. I'm just coming at it from a critical think. But if Labor are getting louder about talking about putting in a capital gains tax, you can't really have decreasing asset values and a capital gains tax, right? Because you're not going to raise any revenue. So if we need a capital gains tax, then you would think that asset prices need to increase. And what are asset prices for most New Zealanders? Property and some shares in KiwiSaver and things like that for the everyday person. So I would guess, that at some stage over the longer term, we're going to see house prices continue to increase because the system works like that. And if it wasn't going to, then why would we need a capital gains tax? Maybe I'm off the mark with that, but it just had me thinking about that during the week. But anyway, just be careful with people's predictions and advice and property FOMO-driven guesstimates that you're going to see for the next 4 weeks in the media and at the Christmas barbecue and around the family dinner table and in those conversations, because those drive irrational decision making, and sometimes the data is wrong. So to paint this, your parents read that property is definitely going to increase by 10% because someone they know said so, but they can't remember a year ago what did they say it was going to increase by, and did it? Maybe they got that wrong, don't know. But then you go around there and your parents are at you like, have you bought a property yet? Like, come on, you need to hurry up. It's going up 10%. Then you're like, holy shit. Like, then you're under pressure. You're starting to drive FOMO. So this is why this thing snowballs. But you have to step back and go, why is there such loud noise all the time around what property prices are? A lot of our country out the back there is built on property, and the economy runs on it too. That's just what I've kind of seen when looking into some of this stuff. I don't know, it could go up 10%, could go up 3%, could be 5%, I don't know, but it has been just drifting off to the side recently, and I think there's been little for people to get excited about, and I think some of these commentators want to get excited about it at the moment because they have a vested interest in it increasing, and it will make their life better. They will feel wealthier, they might be able to lend more, they might be able to sell more, who knows? But just think critically when you see some of this stuff. But let us know, what do you think then that property is going to increase by? Maybe we can come back and revisit this in another year's time. I'll probably go through and do the same thing where I will have a look at what ASB and the Reserve Bank, etc. think that house prices are going to increase in 2025, and then I'll check this back in a year. I'll set a calendar reminder for myself. But I did see this week that the Reserve Bank expect house prices to increase by 7%. Now, they often get things wrong, as do economists. I saw a very well-known economist in New Zealand predicting the official cash rate would tap out at 3.5, and that would be overkill getting to that. Anyway, we ended up at about 5.5. So just be very careful getting too excited about people's predictions. Be good out there, make smart decisions, execute what you need to do to achieve the goals that you have. If you want to buy property, for instance, don't worry about the noise. Focus on what you need to do to buy property. If you own property, then what else can you be doing to ensure that you can increase your net worth if property isn't increasing? What are the skills you're focusing on? What's the value you can bring to the marketplace? What else can you be doing? There's more to fucking life in New Zealand than checking your property price balance.